Hello everyone, I'm Rob Smith, Smith in the Black, and if it's Monday, it's the power hour for the Strat. And so this is really where we get everything done, where get people up to speed as fast as possible on the Strat and how to go about it. And then, as always, if you can't make it, you can email the questions in. And I start off with the emails just so everybody can hear it, as opposed to an email directly to me to answer, because that gets a little overwhelming. And this way, it's recorded and everybody gets to hear it. So let's start off just with what was going on today. So some good lessons though today, and I talked about it in the Strat Time report, but it's important enough to go back through what happened today. And so it's a Monday morning. They came in gangbusters. Boom, big outside bar, and here's the cues. Let's go back to the SPY. And so that gives us our broadening formation, the outside bar. That's a broadening formation on a shorter time frame. That was an outside day when it got up there, right? And so you'll hear me say once a three, always a three can't not be, because they sold down on the opening, bought it all the way back up. And if they did that once, they might do it again. And so one of the things that we look for, of course, is that inside bar, the 3-1 here. 3-1 inside, and then the 3-1-2, and bam, all the way back down and then some. And we knew about that, which was good. And that's why we're calling off the FOMO on the opening. I'm like, take it easy, because we had more evidence that this was going to work. What we did have was the diamonds do this. They were also a 3-1er. Tried to attempt to go to the upside, but then failed. And so when we knew that the diamonds and the SPY and the Qs were all inside on the 60, boom, when those diamonds started to fail, we know those 3-1-2s were going to work to the downside. And if we don't have a reversal against us, we're going to take this baby out, which we did, right? And in the SPY, here, we're going to take these lows out, right? If they bought down and sold up and bought up and sold down, they might do it again, and they did. So, also, just from the nightly vid and the weekend, we're still waiting on weekly breaks, and we got earnings coming out and all that kind of stuff. And when we go out on the lows, everything looks ugly. But let's say that we gapped up tomorrow into here and start racing back through again. Then we're going to go after anybody taking out today's highs. And the reason we want to do that is if you're short, you got what you wanted. The market sold off. But if the market starts to recover and you take out today's highs tomorrow, you're screwed. All the shorts are screwed, right? And we know that. So always trying to trade against people in losing positions, right? So that's how we do that. So if you have questions, you can start typing them in. As always, I start off with the email, so let's get to that. Okay, what should we do when a stock at the open soars at the opening and after an hour it goes into pause mode, but we don't get a signal against us, but it's just choppy for the rest of the day? Would you suggest cut it or wait for the proper exit signal? If you got it early enough and it's still good, you can wait. You can hold on to that, because oftentimes you'll hear me say tough time reversing that. Like how are you gonna take that day back red if you're bright green, right? And so it might just sit up there and chop around, but if you don't have a 60 signal against you, you're still good. And as always, it depends on what else is going on in that thing. Is it part of a sector? Is it its own animal? Is it exhaustion risk? Is it still coming back to the range? Do you still have magnitude on it? So all those things are going to matter on that, on where is this occurring and when is that occurring. Okay, also like last Thursday, when everything is gapping higher and things start to run, what is the best way to trade the best candidate movers? Some move quickly and a lot, while some move a little and stall out. What is the best way to pick candidates to trade with the gapper list? Well, the gapper list is just stand 60 and 30 reversals, and you can even slow it down to 60 reversals. I'm good with that too. There's plenty to do there. But what you'll hear me talk about is simultaneous breaks. When things are running, is it everything? Is it, what is it? Is it all that? Like last week it was energies, right? For the last month, it's been energies, so we've known about that. And also, if it's right on the opening, just like today, when we're running up on the opening, I talked about as soon as we get some sort of reversal or a stall out, there'll be a complexion change, because a lot of stocks get caught up in the futures and start just jamming with the futures. But once they stop going, right, then some sellers come out of the woodwork, because we knew that we had, when we started to back off on that 60, We knew we had weakness in retail. Anybody taking out Friday's lows is somebody we would know about right here, right? Because they got what they wanted. The market rallied. But once it starts to come back in, and if you're taking out Friday's lows, you're screwed, right? So always going back and forth on where people are getting screwed, right? And then we go screw them harder. Okay, so next question. Okay, let's see. Um, okay, that's not a question. Statement of fact. Okay. This one I've been looking forward to. Oh boy. Okay. Rob. And awesome stuff. Thank you for good forces for our universe, for the strat, the blessing of the abundance it offers. For those who will simply use it. I love numbers, art, science, investing is a bit all of three. More than those, I love coding sequences and patterns, systematic consistencies containing the right steps to solve a problem. In this case, a strategy that enters good trades that are high probability and about to run, cuts losses short if they don't, but in such a way still lets them run if they do, right? I've gotten some mixed good results with apply the flowing rules. My aim in reaching out is to remove the system steps that are in the way of profit runners and add any suggest to limit loss. To the system entries, I trade exclusively 4 to 5 day expiry SPY puts and calls. 2 strikes from the money around $3 contracts with a 50-cent delta. I enter only on 2-2 reversals on the 15-minute right on the current candle because of the break of the previous up or down. 2 to 7 trades a day, position size 20%. Now here's the fun part. Exits have ranged anywhere from down 50% to down to plus 78%. If I try to range of exits as follows: continuation break. If the underlying stops reaching a higher high after 5 minutes in, get out. Only problem is sometimes it means that you're out below your entry, but if you get in on a good clean break on a trend day, you get a huge return. Okay, so one of the things that's important right there, what you're saying, is a trend day. And how do you define that? And that goes back to the simultaneous breaks, right? So knowing which signals are breaking, like last month, like everything is a 2 up. Like if you had a heat map last month, like almost everything on the month and the energy was a 2 up, right? That increases that probability right there. So when you're talking about stuff like that, that's what you'd want to be looking at. Simultaneous breaks, whether like today, like I said, once those diamonds failed, there was a high probability that was going to go outside bar 1-3, and then that those other 2 were going to break, right? And then you had your broadening formation for magnitude. So knowing your magnitude, knowing a simultaneous break, how many are these things breaking in the same direction, right? And if that works, does that cause anything on the longer term stuff, right? Okay. Expanding trail. So if the trade survives the stop underneath the order, contract goes up 6 cents above the entry, the stop adjusts, okay, to lock and break even above commissions and system increments, right? And there's a lot of opportunity between that wide a stop and the high it hits, though. Right, I'm still thinking magnitude, understanding the magnitude of the signal. All entries and exits are market orders. Yep, in and out. I'm good with that. And okay, current exits. Say. Okay. How would you tweak the dot point rules for entry exit for both? Yeah, I think those are okay, the entries and exits, but It's just a matter of understanding that magnitude and the simultaneous breaks. Why would that work, and how far they're going to go if this works? So I'm sure I'll talk to him in the future. Got a lot going on there. Okay. And hi, Rob. I was observing GME today and noticed the two up on the third hour did not reach magnitude. Am I right? I'm assuming that when this happens, a rev strat the other way is very likely. Follow-up question to the above. When it went rev strat in the fourth hour, would one be okay to take that despite the day still being green, or is that considered fading? No, here, let's get to that. So what had happened was, first of all, you got market help by the market falling apart, right? That's good. So when it didn't hit magnitude here, right, and comes back in, that's a mother bar issue, right? It's still stuck in the mother bar. So yes, you can take that to the downside when it broke that. Your magnitude is to stay below that, right? It's not too much on it, but it's still like a buck or two. And then if it stays down, you're still good. Then you can go inside Momo shoot, boom, for the ad and take her down, right? Because it's still working, right? Your magnitude on that was only to take that out, but if it stays below that, that's still good. So yes, you can take that, especially what was going on in the market at the time. Okay. And okay, now back to you. Okay. Blues Rock Addict. Hey Rob, I heard you say we're looking for nice long green or red candles. Could you elaborate on why this is important? Yeah, it tells you that the buyers or sellers are aggressive, right? They're moving it, right? If it's not doing anything, it's not doing anything, which means when I say something's doing nothing, that means that buyers and sellers are somewhat equal, right? They're not really aggressive. A bunch of pikers in there. But when you got a nice long red or green bar, you got active buyers and active sellers in there. That's what I want. That's what time frame continuity is all about. The level of aggression. So you might have full time frame continuity, but you only might have it by 8 cents, right? But once you get those big long red and green bars, that tells me they're aggressive. We're buying and we don't care. But the price is going up too much. Jimmy crack corn and I don't care. I need stock, dude, right? Because oftentimes what you'll see really on really big moves is like if guys have really big orders, they don't care about their first round, and that's when you just see like some real thing just really blasted in the moon or coming back to the previous range, and then sits there and then does measured move or something. Oftentimes guys don't care. So like in all the energies, they didn't care. last month they didn't care. It was in a lot of things. It was just buy. Yeah. Fanger. They don't care. They don't care. Right in here, they don't care because they know it's going up in here because they're taking it there, right? So oftentimes you'll have like something like this, right, where they're really aggressive because they know that the buy order is huge, so they buy things hand over fist, right? Knowing that they've got in their back pocket a lot more to buy. They're not going to lose on that, right? Okay, good. And Rob, last Friday, CCXI was an excellent trade both ways on the gap list. Yep. Stock traded with nice symmetry, you might call. Are there any indication the stock might trade like this? Or is it driven by volume? Well, what I would say is there's always multiple factors of what's going on, right? And so when it started to drop here, there was enough meat on them bones to take that 2-2 back down if it was going to fail, right? And when it came up, you could just cover, right? I think I might have done a 30 too, right? The 30 worked. 2-2 reversal on the 30 and then the 60 back up. But it's important to remember here because there's a shock to the system. So a purist of strat would say, may say, but the daily was red when this happened. That's true. However, it's important to understand the scenario as well. That's a 2 up, right? That's a 2 up. It has not failed yet, but the 60's trying to fail. But then when it goes to here, now you have a reversal back in the direction of the 2. So you're fighting the daily continuity, but you've got a 2 up. So anybody who didn't cover in here, boom. Like, I think it's going to come all the way back, do you? These guys are still in trouble, right? You got to remember, everybody got caught short side, they're still in trouble. Even though they got this, they're still in trouble. And so when that takes that out, because this is a reversal, and we know outside bars exist, now we're looking for these become an outside bar for that, which we got. Then you get to the chop shop, see? But that's the move we were looking for, and we got it. So always always keep in mind what you're dealing with. Am I dealing with a 2? Am I dealing with potential 3? So this could have gone 3, but it was nowhere near doing it, right? If that makes sense. And Rob, what are some things to consider holding a stock overnight as opposed to cutting it as a loss as a day? Oh, we do not. They're not going to hold a loser overnight. That's for sure, right? No, no, no sleep. That messes your new opening up. uh, or just cutting it loose. You didn't say loser. Okay, just cutting it loose. Strong close. Like, well, you want to be able to gauge your magnitude, right? Prague. So it's still inside month and up, right? That's good. That's good all month, right? She's a little volatile, right? And you haven't broken the week yet, right? But if let's say you got it off of this 60, oh yeah, you can hold this thing. You're month and upper and spitting distance from week and upper, and you're used to be somebody. So your magnitude can be take these guys out up into here, then you might want to be a little careful and make sure it stays up there. Make sure you stay inside week and up and stay inside month and up, but you're still good. And TTWO was in the night video, and so you can go either way on that because you got a new week. Right, so maybe it comes back down, maybe it doesn't. You still got that monthly signal good, but you got the market weakening, all right? And then you can always, like when I talk about simultaneous breaks, also in subsectors, right? Like you hear me talk about the towers, and then TTWO, you get watch with EA, right? What's that thing going to do? That's middle of that range. And ATVI, your loser so far, right? ATVI took the inside day to the downside, right? So you can always watch those against each other. Same business, pretty much. And also, we're still, we're dealing with some 3s here in the SPY, monthly and on the, 60 and daily. So we're still kind of seeing how these guys play out. Because oftentimes what will happen is that, we watch something like this and you think that's the big move, but then you have that old try down in here where they really clobber them, right? Because the tries get bigger, right? That's something I'd want to know about because we have these outside monthers, and if we can break those 3-2 downers, maybe we could get a little bit more. But that's why we play the game. And started well with Baba today. Baba. So now Baba and Baidu and all the Chiners went out in the lows too. So they're good candidates for 2-2 reversals tomorrow. We talked about Baidu in the vid and said China because technically this is still a 2 up, right? But the continuity is to the downside. So you already have your continuity if that goes 2-2 and back through the try she goes China. But and 15er Baba. So Baba slowed down a little bit. So depending on where you got in, here's a 3. Here's a nice one right here. Depending on where you got in, 15er down. But anytime you're going into lower lows, right, they're going to come up and try they out. So here's a cover on the 15, 2-1-2. Yep, outski. And then you wait for the triangle day out here and back in. Bam, 2-2. See ya. which also caused the RevStrat 60. Here, inside, up, boom, RevStrat 60. And if you're staying on the gapper list, you should almost never miss a 2-bar RevStrat 60. It takes 3 hours to set up. If anything, you just get too bored, right? Or you get discouraged because you tried to take the 212 reversal up. It didn't work. And then you blow it off and don't take the RevStrat, which you should do. So you get the first 15 minutes. Okay. So did you continuity entry? Because that was a little tricky here, right? Because this guy's came back up on you, but they didn't stop you out if you got the continuity entry. For newer folks, what that means is once Baba opens and pokes up a little bit and then goes red, you can short it right there. Boom. That's called a continuity entry. It was a little hairy in here. But the good thing is if you got it up into here and you didn't get stopped out in here, you could just let it go all day. Some people do that. They leave. They just leave and say, you know something, I'm not going to get triangled out. I've got my stops in. I'm just going to let these babies play out. And stuff like that can be, fun. You go fishing, go do something else. Be like, let them play out. I don't have to stress about it. I don't have to worry about getting triangled out. And then I come down, and like on a day like today, if you caught some nice shorts, things get wiped at the end of the day, you're golden. And then you just come in and cover. Say, thanks for playing, or decide to hold on. Is a 3-1-2 always a reversal? Not necessarily. All that means is you had somebody get triangled out. So it might be, a continuation where the 3 is daily, but the weekly and the monthly are still green. And then it goes 2 to the upside. It's important to understand that when you have the 3-1-2, the magnitude is to take out either side of that 3. Because now you're messing with a 3. Like I said, once a 3, always a 3 can't not be. So today it was. So today they ran the 3-1-2. You're reversing these guys. And you're changing that day back, going down to change that day back red. Never come up with the same gap list. There's no secret sauce to it. I'm just trying to find things that are moving around. And I know there's always other things. So if you have them, you can type them in the morning and say, Rob, I got these, and I'll take a look. Here, let me get rid of this, though. That's why we come in the morning to go check them out, see what's going on. And sometimes they change like right before the opening. So no secret sauce there. I just look at the tape, see what's going on. Hit a couple of websites, and then you can see we adjust that as I find more stuff. What are the most important features to make the short list of gappers? I'd like you to be moving at least 2 or 3%. And also, is it sector specific? Is it earnings or company specific? What's going on there? That's why Nurgu's been in there so much. That means it's pretty much every energy. So if you see me put a sector ETF in the gappers, you can go after any of those stocks too. Yeah. 3.5, I'm good with that. Hit mega car, sorry. Yeah. Concerns about possible manipulations by larger players while trading a low float stock. For instance, Prague only has 32 million market cap and 20 million float with 20 million average volume. Can make it susceptible to manipulations. Well, the good thing is, usually because of how we trade, we're trading in the direction of the manipulation, right? They're trying to screw people. We're pretty much we know what they're doing. And that's the good thing about the strat. If anybody's doing anything, And yeah, you could have a violent reversal on you or something like that that's fast and slip slidey. That's one of the reasons you'll hear me say about certain stocks. I'm like, not for everyone. Right? Some people won't touch that. Some people won't touch anything without full time frame continuity. I'm totally good with that. Because what happens is the strat customizes itself to you, right? Not everybody's going to do the same thing, and that's why I'm, you know, when new people come here, sometimes they're expecting what they've heard in like other chat rooms. Okay, everybody, we're all going to do this. Okay, everybody, we're all going to do this. That's not how it is because everybody's different. And we just talked about TTWO. You were tardy. I talked about the difference. You can go back and rewatch it. Talked about the inside day. Talked about it's a Tuesday. Go either way. Watching that with EA and watching that with the weakness in ATVI. ATVI, you loser. But that could go weak and down too. That's all right. And sometimes it's good when similar stocks go the opposite way. I used to do that a long time ago when one company's putting another one out of business. What's going on? These guys are putting these guys out of business. Although we prefer the simultaneous break, but and another thing, especially for new folks, you're going to hear me say a lot: patience. Let them set up. You didn't hear an ounce of FOMO from me this morning. Right? I was like, take it easy. We don't know really for sure what they're doing. Yeah, they're jamming them right out the chute, and then as soon as we got closer, we're like, yeah, it's probably going outside day, right? As soon as you turn this baby green, now you're looking outside day. Then we don't know, right? We're looking to take all these guys out in one shot. Then we don't know. Then the boring hour, and then the magic happened. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Let them open. We've seen this one before. Let them open. If Rob hasn't figured it out, no touching. Okay, now here they go. Diamonds are failing. Here we go. And the great thing is we have everything recorded. You can go back and rewatch it. And took XLF. Yeah, 3-day. That's a problem, right? So here's your broadening formation on that. Yikes. So here's your cut right there. Here's your 322 right there. Boom. Right there. Outski. Because it's going to take that out. And if that works, you're going to take these guys out, which it did. So I'd be looking to cut that. And you've got bank earnings coming out this week, too. So shenanigans may ensue. And you had exhaustion risk going into the highs. Okay. The FOMO. Don't get the FOMO. This guy's paying up. uh, Seems like if I don't use larger stop loss on higher time frames, then I get stopped out. But the loss is huge if it goes against me. Slow rose. If you got longer term signals in there, you don't have to cut the whole thing. You don't have to stop out everything. If you're still good on longer term stuff, you still got to know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing. So for newer folks, talk to me. Tell me what you're doing. All right? I can fix anything. I just got to know what I got to fix. And also, well, so if XLF starts, let's say everything recovers tomorrow, starts racing back through here. Okay, that's a different story, but we don't know that yet. Is Pivot Machine primarily targeted for daily time frame? No, everything. Everything. Yep. So if this starts going back up, you bet. They paid up, they sold down, they paid up, they sold down, they might do it again. Broadening formation, thus the name. They get bigger. And that's where some people get chopped up in too tight of a try. And then by the time that sucker really grows and gets big, they're not in. FRM. Well, the FRM's a little hairy, but. And 2260 here on the top. Inside 30 down. It's got a little tricky in here. Outside 30, looks like. So that means they tried the out. There you go. Here's the one you wanted right here. RevStrat 15er. Outside 322 right there. There you go. How's the spread in that thing? It's also a Monday. I'm like, that's where we do less. 3-1 pukers? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm good with that. Mm-hmm. And, as I reiterate, it depends on the direction of simultaneous breaks, too. You can be a 3-1 to the upside, too. Because I think this 15er was at the high of this thing. If that works, then you go, boom, 3-2. A little aggressive, though. Okay, then you were giving it too much room. If it's going to stop you out, make it stop you out right away. Because that way, it's easier to get back in if it re-breaks. Break out your surgeon's knife and go down to that fiver and be like, I just got triangled out on a fiver. But if that breaks, that fiver magnitude is a re-break of that. For newer folks especially, we're always if this, then that. What will it do to other time frames? Because we know what magnitude looks like. If this works, where's it going to go? There. Okay, and at that point, it would trigger these guys, right? And that's why another question I get a lot is, can I take a signal before a shorter term signal before a longer term signal breaks? I'm like, you can. if it's going to trigger other time frames. Because essentially what we're doing is we're putting participants against each other and using them for our own gain. Which is to say that if a 5-minute try is going to trigger a 60-minute reversal, and that 60-minute reversal is going to trigger a daily or weekly break, you can take that fiver and just watch it like a domino effect. And if you're good, you can add on all this stuff. Scale down to a 5. Well, not necessarily. What I'm saying is if you get stopped out, but you're still watching that signal, you can take down those shorter time frames and say, if this works, it's going to re-break it. I just got tried out on the fiver. And even if you wait for the re-break, at least it'll tell you that it's going to happen, right? When you have the shorter time frame, you don't have to trade off of it, but you can. It's evidence that it's going to work when it re-breaks. Let's see what the fivers look like on this thing. Ooh, there you go. Right here. There you go. Boom. This is a nice little fiver dump. Hits magnitude, then comes back up. Here's your fiver try. Here, lower low and higher high, and then boom, back through the try she goes, and down she goes. You were up $7 on the 30. There you go. This'n. This'n right home. That was nice. And see, this is the importance of telling the community what you're doing. Brad's in. Here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm doing. And Lauren was in today. She's very helpful too. Exceptionally skilled. And thinking of having a separate watch list with just your stuff in it. Is there a better way you have seen people organize information you give us? You mean just the gappers and the observations? General Mills. Okay. Seems to be at magnitude for the moment. Yeah, you can just stay on that list. I have some people who don't even watch the videos. They just come in and be like, I'm just gonna do what he says. Okay. General Mills is a 3-2 month. Seems to be at magnitude on the weekly for the moment, but there are some more targets Else it tells us it has some more quarterly maybe. Well, you want to watch that with XLP for one, right? Are they going to continue to roll, and will they roll into XLP for defensive posture? Right, that we don't know yet for the week. Kind of just stalled out here. So here, still inside week, right? Was a two up on the day, so it held so far, and that's why Tuesdays are so important. Everything on a Tuesday is going to confirm or negate what we know to be true on Monday, right? And that's why the strat attack is on Tuesdays. I want to see what they did on Monday, and do they come back and do it again on Tuesday, or do they reverse them? Yeah, don't try and jump around with all the things now. And like AFRM or something, you might have a favorite gunner list too, a go-toer, right? Something that has a large average true range. So even if you're fighting some signals or something, you still the magnitude on some short-term stuff is still going to be fine. And then short from 142.72, 12:30 Eastern. I had that bar as a stop. Covered all the close. There you go. Crush that thing. Wah, wah. Yeah, there you go. My gunner list. These are my rippers. And then you can just check those too on the 30s and 60s, see if you see anything. And thanks for putting that in, Brad. Hmm. And you'll like this one from the mouths of babes. So, uh, this is Allison. Uh, this is Allison. She's been trading the strat like 3 years now, maybe even longer, with her sister, AA Trading Partners LLC. And one time we were doing a power hour because Dad trades here with us, T-Mobs, and she said to him, she's like, "Daddy, can I leave now? I already know all this." And also, he asked her, "Do you? What do you do? Do you watch his weekend video? Do you watch the nightly video?" And she's like, "I just trade the stocks Uncle Rob types in." So there you have it. Three two on a Tuesday. I'm gonna find out. Give us the massive 3-2 pukers. And that's why in the nightly video I talked about things that stayed two up today, right? Like General Mills. Nah, if you get everybody who was two up today to go 2-2 on a Tuesday tomorrow, puke. That'll do it. That's what we're looking for. Smart young lady. She also gets paid. She's also been getting paid her allowance in Bitcoin for years. when's a when's a better time to play multi-day holds? Using weekly reversals or inside week breaks, simultaneous breaks. So like last month, like I said, if you watched, if you haven't watched this, you should for the weekend shift I did with Jermaine. I talked about those 3-2s and the simultaneous breaks, and that's what you wanted. Like here, like FAS on the month. Here, these three, when this is a 322, financials all month, right? Just like the energies last month, right? And still trying to follow through. So, do you have that kind of stuff? Do you have, what's going on, right? And also, what's your magnitude? And that's the reason one trick pony 322 is not such a bad way to go, because your magnitude's built in on your 2-2 reversals and your 322s. You don't have to wonder where the triangle is. You know where it is, right? And that's why you'll hear me say oftentimes, and these two become an outside bar of that, right? The magnitude's built in. And keeping them tight on Mondays, because we don't know until you get that 2-2 on a Tuesday and get stopped out and crushed. And then you don't reverse because you lost. If that makes sense. Well, the thing about the strat is like it makes it like a video game. You know, kids should be good at it. They don't have any preconceived notions about what these companies do. That's not my job. I don't even know what they do. But she's a smart cookie, so they build they build around their portfolio. They'll trade around it. They got time on their side, if you know what I mean. Well, us old geezers, I need my money now, dude. Time's a ticking. Pitfall game, there you go. And that's why you'll hear me, once we know what's going on, break out the Mortal Kombat. Finish him. When you know it's over. It says over. Finish him. I want my money now, please. And just that's why you wait for all those monthly setups and where we're going, and you've got a little exhaustion in the energies now, and still inside on the week. Still hasn't really broader averages as much as guys are going to talk. Still haven't really picked a big direction, have they? No, that's green, dude. That's up. And QQQ is unched. So there's that. There's that. uh, and also, it's important too is that we know how to get involved when things really do move, right? Other people will be like beast mode and this and that, and they'll be like, no, nah. When you get the haymakers. And also, especially for newer folks, it's very visual. So that's why I show so many examples during the day of what's going on until it becomes second nature, and it's not always clean moves, right? Because threes exist, not everything's going to be a clean move, right? But when they are, it's nice. example of haymakers. Oh, energies last month. Fanger, boom. LPI, boom. There we go. And this thing still got magnitude too. 58.59 to a high of 92.34. Yep. Mm-hmm. And try to get the out. 2-2. Set her up. Look at that. The 2-2. No lower low on the weekly. Still no lower low. And that was all the way down here. 42.42. And if that works, it's going to set up the monthly 322 hammer to buy more at 58.59er. And you're still good at 87.79. And we could expect that to work because XLE and OIH were 2-2 reversals. Right? Simultaneous break. Everybody. Now, OIH didn't really run. But now the good thing is there's still more meat on them bones because now you've got slob heating up with Halliburton. So they may keep going. And that's also why not totally opposed to a gunner list, but trade being the one-trick pony. This is all I do, man. Give me them 3-2 monthers. That's all I want. Because then I don't have to jump. I don't have to think about where I'm going to go. That's where I'm going. I'm going to 3-2 months in force. And I'm going to stay on those all month. And if they don't hit magnitude, I'm going to still stay with it because then I can get my compound 3. Finger. Boom. So for newer folks, what a compound 3 is, if you're not familiar, that's just a bar that would have been a 3 bar. It just ran out of time. So here was your outside month in Fang. Boom. 3-2-2. So here, it just ran out of time. These are going to be an outside bar of that. It just ran out of time. Boom. If this is a 3-month chart, these 3 months are outside of that. Where'd this break? Here you go. 82.29 up to 110.73 after the inside week break here. It's 77.43, no lower low on the week. Then you get those longer term stuff. Then you can let them triangle them out on the shorter term stuff. Who cares? I'm nowhere near getting stopped out. And that's another way you can build a long-term portfolio. Be like, I may never sell this thing. CVE. How about CPE? There you go. It's still blasting there. Boom. CVE. CVE, well, I'd just be careful of the 2-2 on a Tuesday because you're into exhaustion risk now. And you're right there. I'd be cautious of the 2-2 on a Tuesday coming back through the previous range. The good thing is you got a nice green month, but you can always re-enter. Okay. Yeah, if we got gappers down, you bet we are. We'll trade them up or down. Because the good thing about a gap down tomorrow, that might be it. Right? The question is the selling real? Because you're still inside on the month. That would put you around a doji on the SPY in the month, so it's not doing anything. No, just stay away from them when they overnight. Once they gap, I mean, they're still going to trade. Just They tell us, we don't tell them. If they're tradable, we'll trade them. So like in the some like Prudential, that was a 2-up shooter. Potential 2-2 on a Tuesday. Where do you think you're going? Where do you think you're going, boy? Right? Goldman Sachs. Now you're an outsider. So you join the 3 club for the day. So that's why, like on a Monday, like I'm pulling back. I'm like, I'm not, I don't have a lot of weekly breaks. Right out the chute, I did not have a lot of weekly breaks. Right. So that tells me to let him open. Now, if we started having a 2 fest either way, that's something I'd want to know about. That's not what was happening. So now we know we got a peck of 3s and 2 uppers. Right. There's some 2 downers like your Deckers and stuff like that got pounded right out the chute. But for the most part, the setups tomorrow are 3s and 2 uppers to potential 2-2 on a Tuesday. Or keep 2ing and try and go back up. Right? But we don't tell them, they tell us. Because you'll hear me say this in a lot of videos too. When you go out on the lows, everything looks bad. Now, if you gapped above the last half an hour here, boom. Now everybody stayed short overnight, it's getting screwed. But we'll see. That's why we play the game. So going back to an earlier question too, that's important, is that, like I said, we like nice long red and green bars, which we don't have. And if we don't have that, you can expect reversals back and forth, just like an inside bar. They have not picked a direction here. They're thinking it over, right? But once that direction is chosen, like last month, puke. That's not happening just yet. And then earnings, Gapfest. Capital. Okay. But on that note, we're coming up on an hour here. I'm going to take my leave, go have some dinner. Welcome new folks. We do it every Monday, and we get a lot done here. Even if I got to repeat myself a billion times, that's what I'm going to do. Right? Share what you're doing. Stop trading if you're losing. All right? Don't learn the hard way, because you're not learning anything by losing. All right? So on that note, everybody have a wonderful night. Welcome new folks, and we will see you bright and early for what do they want to do? Let them open. All right. Good night.